This is reposted.
I found our quote today, and I got to be honest, I started off thinking that me and Larry were going to have a fight. And I did some research, and I have some concessions to make that people are different and they view things differently. I'm in Enneagram 3, Larry's a 7, and we just view things different. But let's get into it. Today's quote is uncredited. If it's important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. I feel like this is in lockstep with exactly what I say. I'm ready to answer your Serengeti questions. What do you think about this? Is this true for you?
Oh, I love the smell of a good Andrew Keller. Get yourself up by the bootstraps and do something, quote, Andrew. It just makes my day. I love a good Andrew Keller. Just go get it done, quote.
Get it done.
Get it done. You know, this is a great quote for you, is what I think it is. I think this is like the perfect quote for you. You should go get stuff done. I believe you when you say this is the perfect quote. However, if you are a single mom and you're single and you're raising 3 kids because your husband just died after a 3-year battle of leukemia, and in the meantime, you're taking care of your mom and are working 2 shifts at CVS to get the bills paid, you probably can't just go and do stuff.
Well, I think your point is exactly true. Like, you need to feed your kids, and if feeding your 3 kids and you're a single mom is important to you, you find a way to do it. She works 2 shifts at CVS. She doesn't find an excuse. But I mean, I guess back to like me trying to figure, I came up with a list of all these famous people who overcame adversity. And then right before we signed on, I was like, let me talk about this. Like, I'm an Enneagram 3, which is an achiever. And the basic fear of an Enneagram 3 is being worthless. So I think that speaks to exactly that's why my thing. You're a 7, which is the enthusiast, and it says your basic fear is of being deprived and in pain. So I mean, that just like, I think lines up your Serengeti mother of 3 quote with me. I mean, everyone's different, but I still think this is true for everyone.
I think I actually found the common ground as well in this quote, because what I think you're actually talking about, because we talk about this a lot on the reposted, what I think you're actually talking about is people that are just actually talking, not people that are doing. We know a couple of people that literally always say they're going to start a business tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's those people that are just saying something and not doing something. Because I think the mother of 3 who's working 2 jobs, she's not saying she's going to do something. She might have a great idea, but she's too tired to even talk about it. She probably has the next great dating app in her head, but she can't do it. I think what this quote and what you're always saying is people that are just saying they're going to do something.
Yeah, I feel like people that talk the most generally aren't what they say they are. I always say anyone that says they're a really good skier is not good. The people I know that are professional, like, yeah, I ski, or the guy that's like, oh, I make so much money, I'm so rich. Like, they're not. The people that are ultra rich, like, don't want you to know that they're rich. Like, if you're talking too much, just shut up.
I feel like we might know someone that's played in one of our poker games before that often says he's a great poker player that maybe is not as good a poker player as he might thinks he is.
Yeah. I was going through examples of people who overcame adversity, and I didn't know this. Did you know that Oprah was like molested and abused when she was a kid and ran away from home when she was 13, had a premature baby that died when she was 14?
Yep.
She has so many excuses to say, I'm just going to crawl into a bottle and drink myself for the rest of my life. But she became uh, maybe the most successful person besides Jeff Bezos. I mean, what's her driving factor to do it? I mean, is it luck meets preparation meets opportunity?
Well, I just want to go back to like Oprah has always been single. She's never had anybody to take care of. She did overcome a lot. I always just think it's like in your circumstance you're in, can you get something else done and squeeze the blood out of her turnip to make any more happen? Now, there's all sorts of stories, by the way. The chick that wrote the Harry Potter movies, single mom, was working 2 jobs, and she wrote Harry Potter, destitute, and overcomes everything. So let's put her to your list. There's all sorts of people. I'm just saying, like, in the circumstance you find you in when life's busy, do you have time to do that?
I mean, this is maybe controversial, but to some point, your circumstances are a choice within. So like being single is a choice. I do have one example. I was in Colorado. Nicole and I were in Colorado for a month, and we hiked a mountain called Mount Bierstadt, which is a little over 14,000 feet. And by any measure, that's not an easy thing to do. But on our way up, we passed this woman who had one leg and she was hiking on crutches.
Whoa.
And when we stayed at the top for a while, and when we were coming down, she was almost at the top and she had the biggest smile on her face. And I feel like having one leg is the best excuse not to hike a mountain. And she didn't use it and she hiked it. So, I mean, if you look for it, you can see examples everywhere.
I think the great comment, sorry, we got cut out there. I think the great commonality between us is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was an incredibly hard worker who grinded everybody around him. I've had a couple of friends, name drop, that have worked for him, and he just grinded and worked everybody to the bone. But the other thing about Steve Jobs, and I feel like that's your mantra, mine is, I think Steve often took times to think about what the universe was trying to tell him. Famously went on to India, had some LSD trips, and was trying to see what the universe was telling him to do. My point is, like, you could do, but what is the universe trying to tell you to make? It's saying, combine the MP3 player with the phone, combine all these revolutionary technologies to make a great product. And I don't think he would have done it had he not taken some time to think about the project before just doing something. So I think he's the commonality between what you're saying and what I'm saying.
I think that is true. There isn't like, okay, I'm going to be an NBA player, go. Like there is some thought that goes into it. And something I think a great point that you made at the beginning of this is that, like, just stop. If you're talking all the time and not doing anything, like, I think that's what my biggest beef is saying you're going to do something and not doing it. Because I always follow up with people and I'm like, hey, what did you do? Like, I have a friend that said he's going to start a podcast 2 years ago, and I follow up with him every 6 months. He's like, well, I'm still planning. So it's like, what are you going to do?
That's the bingo square. Truly, I feel like that's what I've learned the most from Reposted is, do you know who you are? Do you know what you're saying all the time? And do you know actually what you're doing? Like, are you late all the time but think you're on time? Or do you have no clue?
Yeah. Well, if you want to go to Joshua Tree and take an LSD trip with Larry and you can see Steve Jobs, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for Marshmallow saying thanks for stopping by.